I am Nick Shell. Let's talk about Enneagram. This is a popular question. Can your Enneagram change? Now, if you've read dozens of books about it, like I have about Enneagram, you're going to find that there are some people, some experts, who do believe that your Enneagram can change. However, it is in my experience that your Enneagram doesn't actually change. If anything, how you present yourself can. It can look like a different Enneagram, but I firmly believe that your actual Enneagram is the same your entire life. No, I would like to explain that based on my own life experience, because I think if anyone is a prime example of someone who it appears their Enneagram changed over their lifetime, I feel like it would be me. So I'm happy to talk about this subject. So just to start out, as far as what your Enneagram is, we all know, or do we all know? Maybe you're new to Enneagram, maybe you don't know this. So whatever your number is, you're a little bit of both of your neighbors. You're a little bit like both of them. And of course, when you're stressed, you become a different number. When you're relaxed or in growth, you become another number. So we're all 9 types, but we start out at a certain point. Now, as far as your Enneagram changing, what can happen is you can, in essence, sort of be in denial. We could say that. I think for me personally, I have most of my life been in denial of my own Enneagram, which makes me look like other ones. And of course, this is similar to the concept of counter types. You know, out of all 9, each one of them has one that looks like it's not that number. So for example, my wife, she's Enneagram 7, but she's the version that doesn't look like she's trying to run away from pain and fear, and she's trying to chase boredom. She doesn't appear to be like all over the place. She's very self-contained, and she's very focused on getting tasks done and getting work done. And her version, can look more like even an Enneagram 1, for example. Even though she's a 7, she's not what you'd think of as a 7, and that threw me off. She's the counter type. Well, I'm a counter type as well, so let's get into that. So I am what is called counterphobic 6, wing 7. So I am someone who on some level at any given time, I'm acting out of fear. I don't act afraid. I don't show that I'm afraid, other than the fact that I even said this earlier today to someone. They talked about something being difficult. I said, it won't be a challenge. I love the challenge. I can tackle it. Well, that's counterphobic. I'm not afraid. Let me prove to you that I'm not afraid. So that itself doesn't necessarily look like a 6. If as far as someone who's afraid of bad things happening and that sort of thing, I'm like, I'll prevent the bad thing from happening. I'm not weak. I can overcome this. And that can look like an 8. But while I have made people think that I'm an 8, a lot of people have assumed that about me. One that often stands out is I can look like a 4. A lot of people have thought I was a 4. I do a lot of things that do stand out. Ultimately what I learned, and this is my story, is that when I was a young boy, I was shy, I was quiet, I was nervous, I was afraid. So what did I hear a lot from people, whether they were kids my age or adults? They'd say, what's the matter? Cat got your tongue. Why are you so shy? Why do you never talk? So when you grow up as a child hearing those things, on some level, subconscious level, what that translated to me hearing is, you don't matter. You are not important. You don't talk enough. You don't contribute enough. Nobody cares about you. Nobody loves you. On some level, that's what I was hearing, and that was the message I received as a child. Not from my immediate family, but from people all around me. I was the quiet kid. I was nervous. I was afraid. I didn't want to be away from my parents. I mean, granted, we're talking about a young child here, but still, that's how I was as a young child. So by the time I was 9 and 10 years old, I started getting into acting, into musicals, and then eventually played an instrument and writing songs and doing all these things that put me on stage. So this quiet, nervous kid suddenly comes to life on the stage. And that's what I have done for so much of my life. Even now, we can say technically this is my stage now, and here I am doing it. Most people I know don't have their own YouTube channel and randomly talk about stuff. So there's some comfort in the stage, I guess we could say. So that itself makes me seem more theatrical or more dramatic. And ultimately, it still goes back to me being counterphobic 6. I'm afraid of people thinking I'm not interesting, of them thinking that I am not worth their time. I mean, it's funny to say that out loud because no one would think that about me, but ultimately, yeah, I mean, that's where that comes from. You know, if I were a true 4, and believe me, I've done my research, am I a 4? Well, I've asked myself that a lot. But a 4 specifically has this feeling that they're not enough, that they're somehow flawed. And I don't feel that way about myself. But for me as a 6, it's, do I belong? Do I have a place? Do I matter kind of situation? Do I matter to society? And so in my brain, if you're quiet, then you don't matter. Like that was the lesson childhood taught me. So therefore, I often act like a 4. I act like a dramatic, theatrical person who does things to stand out. It's not that I'm seeking attention, it's that I'm securing my place often, and this goes back to 6, as an outsider, because counterphobic 6 often likes to establish themselves as the person who sees things as differently, so that they can be the designated outsider for the group. And ironically, they belong because they're not like everybody else. Again, that looks like a 4, doesn't it? But it's not a 4 fundamentally. So how you look on the outside, it could actually be in response to some sort of denial of your actual number. You know, who wants to be the number that they are? A lot of people don't. I mean, if I could have chosen 6, would I have chosen it? I don't know that I would. There's other ones that seem cooler. Could I just be chill? Could I be a 9? Could I be like my wife? Could I be a 7? If I could choose, well, I'm a 6 though. So I think it could be that whatever your number is, you could be at odds with how you're designed, your actual wiring. And in essence, you take on a different number without even realizing it and creating a whole identity on that everyone else believes. And they would never think that you are the real number. I mean, even for me now, so few people can see how I'm actually a 6 because I don't line up to what 6s are supposed to act like necessarily. It's very layered. But again, I feel this can happen with any number. There's counter types for all 9 numbers. I would love to hear from you if in essence, here's the discussion. Do people think that you're another number? Do you look and act like another number, but you're confident that on the inside, you are who you are, despite how you look and how you act? I think it's quite possible. I don't think that we change our Enneagrams. Yes, I think our subtypes can change within that number. I think our dominant wing definitely can, because I would have been by default, as a kid, I would have been a phobic 6-wing 5 as a kid. And then by the time I was junior high, I had officially switched over to counterphobic 6-wing 7. But I still had those Enneagram 4 vibes about me. All right, your comments belong right here.